Hello all. Since the morning I've come across various statements like the theme of this summit is impact through innovation. Professor Jhunjhunwala also in his inaugural remarks made the very similar statement where he was trying to create impact through policy. This session is going to be a bit different. This is going to be technology through a policy lens. What I'll do is three things in this presentation. We'll give you insights of what AGNIi is all about, what we are doing, and what we are offering to the ecosystem partners present here. So if we are all set, I would want to invite Garima to take you through what AGNIi is all about.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'll be just giving a very brief summary just about AGNIi Mission. AGNIi Mission is one of the 9 missions under the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, and it is also initiative under the Prime Minister's Science, Technology, Innovation and Advisory Council. As you can see here, apart from AGNIi Mission, there are several other missions that the PM STAC looks after. Some of them are electric vehicles, genomics, biodiversity, artificial intelligence. So the AGNIi Mission was set up back in 2018 September, and we initially were a technology commercialization program. Now we focus on supporting government to fulfill some of the major national priorities and some of the critical challenges that we face in the 21st century, climate change being one of them. Apart from climate change, we also have different themes that we work on: public security, human development, emerging frontiers and policy. How we do that is by leveraging emerging technologies that are being developed currently in the Indian innovation ecosystem. These technologies can come from startups or from public R&D labs, and we engage with them very closely to help them deploy their solutions, pilot their solutions, and eventually scale up their technologies. I'll hand over to Vishad, who will go through the approach and the workflow that we follow at AGNIi.
Hello everyone, I hope I'm audible. So I'll just quickly take you through the AGNIi workflow, how the AGNIi... I'll just use this. Is it better now? So I'll just quickly take you through how the AGNIi Mission function, how it is set up, and what we actually do. Before that, how many of you are familiar with this diffusion of innovation curve? Since we've been talking about innovations all day, I thought I'd start with this. All right, so Professor Everett M. Rogers, a very renowned diffusion scholar, came up with this diffusion curve, which essentially translates how an innovation can be anything, an idea, a technology, or n number of things, is diffused into the society. So one of the major problems that we had surfaced during our so many conversations that we had on the stage today is that there's a need for a change management, and AGNIi does exactly that for the government of India. So to diffuse the technology, there are 5 levers of adoption: relative advantage, compatibility, complexity, trialability, and observability. If any one innovation is able to tap into these 5 factors, it will be successfully diffused into the paradigm. Relative advantage is essentially how much better is the innovation than what it replaces or in the current state. Compatibility is how consistent is that innovation with the past norms, values, and needs. Complexity is how difficult it is to use compared to whatever is being used right now. Trialability is how much of it can be experimented with. And finally, observability is how visible are the results, which is one of the most important in this sector. Now, moving on to the AGNIi workflow, this is the workflow that we have. Now, this might seem very complex, but allow me to break it down into 3 parts. The first one is that we essentially surface pain points and priorities from various government stakeholders. I'll explain this workflow using an active project that we're working on with the state of Uttarakhand. So we've been collaborating with Uttarakhand government to work on climate projects, and in the first stage, we visit the exemplar site, which is the district of Champawat in Uttarakhand, to surface the pain points and actually understand what the on-ground situations are, what the pain points are on, let's say, a farmer level, a district administration level, up until the state government level. So we try to follow a bottom-to-top and a top-to-bottom approach so that we cover all aspects of the pain point. Then we develop operational scenarios on the basis of those pain points, and then we map these operational scenarios into functional requirements of what technology essentially in the Indian innovation ecosystem can address and actually help address those pain points. Moving on to the next phase, then comes the interesting part, which is identifying these technologies. So we do extensive outreach to incubators, to R&D labs, startups all across the Indian ecosystem to actually identify the exact technology. Maybe in this case, I'll give you an example. So animal intrusion was one of the major key points, and soil testing was also one of the pain points that was emerged from our visits. Shubham will take you through a case study on how actually we reached those pain points. I'll just quickly, essentially, so after we identified those pain points, that is soil testing in this case, we identified two startups within the Indian ecosystem. One used a frugal innovation to test the carbon content in soil. The other one used a machine learning based optical analyzer to give you 14 parameters of a soil test within 2 hours of testing. Now, what we do with these technologies, we collate all of it, we take them to the exemplar site, we demonstrate those technologies to the local farmers over there, the district administration, and the idea behind this is to make them familiar with the technology, open their minds to emerging tech in the Indian innovation ecosystem, and especially in the climate change sector and the deep tech ecosystem that we have been talking about all day. It is imperative that there is a change management lever who can actually help the government understand these technologies. Once we are done with the showcase, we assemble all our learnings, that is from surfacing pain points till the technological demonstration. We compile all of that into a technology advisory note and we hand it over to the government stakeholder. In this case, we handed it over to the Honorable Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. I'll now hand over the mic to Shubham to take you through a very simple case study of our climate projects in Uttarakhand.
I think Vishad has given a good insight as to what the approach is. So I'll take you through the live example of how we are trying to solve climate change in the Indian Himalayan region. Can you begin with the first slide? So as Vishad mentioned, the very first is surfacing pain points in the ecosystem. But I would rather say that one more important factor for AGNIi as a mission is we always look out for most proactive stakeholders whom we can partner with. So in this particular case, the problem statement came from the government of Uttarakhand itself, where they were talking about climate change and the destruction being caused there. Once that is there, when the problem reaches us, then we start aligning with the key stakeholders and the key decision makers in the state. So in this case, it was the CM's office in Uttarakhand. Next slide, please. Talk about pain points. Please move ahead. So as you can see in this particular slide, the very first thing which we do is we go to the field, conduct research, focus group discussions, interviews happen on the field itself, and then we try to get a sense of what's happening on the field. The important part about our methodology is that we derive understanding of the field right from the people who are affected by climate change the most in this particular case. Once we have that, we move on to the next phase, which is translating these pain points into some tech lingo, if I can say that, which is functional requirements and technology stacks. What I've noticed in our approach is it's very simple. When we go and explore pain points, often the pain points which come from the field are pretty broad. And in our case, a stack approach works perfectly because I've noticed myself that to address a particular pain point, we definitely have to come up with a symphony of multiple technologies to solve for this case. So that's the advantage which we have with this approach. If you go forward, this is the technology stack which we developed in one of the projects which we are handling, climate adaptive agriculture. Please move to the next slide. Once we have the requirements in the tech stack, we double check. Now what is happening in this double check process? Go to the next slide, please. You will find expert stakeholder consultations happen with almost all the important stakeholders present in this ecosystem. For example, forest, if you want to solve for HFRI, Forest Survey of India, Forest Research Institute of India, we have stakeholder consultations with them. These people pinpoint if there are any deficiencies in our process till now, the tech stacks are improved, do they need some improvement or not. Once that is finalized, when we get a green light, we move on to the next stage, which is the field technology showcase. I think this is the crux of it. Once we know what technologies are going to be deployed, we start aligning Indian ecosystem players which align perfectly with the tech stack which we have. Alignment is pretty necessary. Once we identify those startups, we take them to the field. And in the field, these technologies are deployed. in front of the district administration, district officials, state officials. For in this particular case in Champawat, you can see there were about 30 line departments present in this field technology showcase, and also the district collector is also there, along with the state government officials. The reason why we do it is very simple. First, to get a realistic assessment as to is this technology going to work in the field. Second, my observation states that most of the time when key decision makers see technology in front of